Howzit Bru? What a fantastic, entertaining, and thrilling game between the Springboks and England at Twickenham. Welcome to Rugby Bru. My name's Kenneth. If you're new here, I'd love you to subscribe if you enjoy the video, and love you to share your thoughts and comments and be part of this great community that we have here. So, 29 points to 20. The Springboks pull off a 9-point victory. I ended up going and watching that game again before I recorded this video. See, I haven't even had time to shave yet. I've just been on holiday for the last 4 days. But in any case, watching that game was pretty tough. I was shouting I was calm, but I was shouting. Does that even make sense? I don't know, but I wasn't as stressed as I normally am. But there were sort of moments there where I could see, hey, this pattern repeating, maybe if that quarterfinal against England. But the boys, the replacements, I thought had a better impact than England, and they didn't. We stopped them scoring in the last 30 minutes, and we could just step up that one extra gear and close out the game with the senior heads controlling the game. And we did ourselves no favors with the yellow cards, lots of silly mistakes, but other than that, it was a fantastic test match, really entertaining, great intent by both sides wanting to play a lot of attacking rugby. I would say maybe in the second half at the end there, England sort of going more and more just towards the high ball and lacking that creativity. But it's not so much a criticism, just an observation in terms of the attack and rugby strategy that they implement. I said the Boks would win by 8. They won by 9. And one of those games where, you know, our big players stood up again. Cheslin Kolbe, what an absolute superstar. You know, really phenomenal performance. Just both sides of the ball, attack, defense, super aggressive. 2 tries for Cheslin. Beautiful try for Grant Williams. What an absolutely stunner of a try. When he made that initial break and he got through the line, and there was 2 players, I think Marcus Smith and then Freddie Stewart, I knew that. I said, this guy's going to score. When he's one-on-one and he's running at you, you know, 9 times out of 10, he's going to score. But a fantastic try by him and a great try by the ever-present, the guy that never gets tired, the ultimate Springbok, some guy that I just admire as a human being, just his qualities, Pieter-Steph du Toit. And, you know, my brother's in town. He's visiting with his son. And, you know, we were all just saying the same thing. What a guy, you know, class upbringing, obviously got fantastic parents, fantastic schooling system that he went through. And, yeah, just great to see him on the scoreboard. But anyway, so let's dive into the Springboks game. That's another win for the Boks. Fortunately, that takes our winning ratio up to 83% this year. We've only lost 2 games and we got 1 game left on tour. This was a tough game. And like I said, England got off to a very quick start. That first half was very entertaining because England, for the first 13, 14 minutes, they actually, you know, were on the front foot getting the better of us. Then we just had that magical sort of patch where we scored a bunch of tries, 3 tries, and got out ahead of them and created some gap. And at one stage, I thought, hey, we're going to open up, because some of you guys had said, hey, the Boks by 15 points, some of you even more. I think one of you guys actually said, hey, if we get on the front foot, this could be sort of a cricket score. And at one stage, I mean, our players were easily crossing the advantage line, crossing the gain line. The Swing Low Sweet Chariots wasn't being sung too loud. And I've been in that stadium many times, and it's not fun when you start making mistakes and the crowd starts cheering your mistakes, and that Swing Low Sweet Chariot starts, you know, volume gets higher and higher. And I thought, okay, well, we've shut them out and shut the crowd down. And this looks like it's going to be a big win for the Boks. But credit to England, they hit back, scored that try. And then I was getting a little bit worried. I'm not going to lie. So in terms of the actual game, where I think it was one where I think, you know, we struggled a bit, there's a couple of things here, right? Like I said, right, hard fought both teams. England came with intent, as we expected them to do. I thought our defense was really good. for the most part in terms of our structures, but they did breach our defensive line quite often, and quite often it was out wide, and quite often with the high ball, with Mani definitely a tactic, definitely a strategy, kicking the high ball, cross kicks. And I think that's a big mistake against a guy like Freddie Stewart, because that's where he's probably one of the best in the world at the high ball. He's 6'5", that guy. And I think we won one of those against him. The rest we lost. And we're putting ourselves under pressure. And then the ball was opening up for guys like Marcus Smith, who's a phenomenal fly half. I'm surprised that England, stuck with Owen Farrell for so long. I know his experience, I know his seniority and whatever. And Marcus Smith is an incredible player, and glad that he got to get the full run of the game. So I think for the most part, our defense was good, and our tackle success rate was just as good as England. And we'll dive into some stats. I think for us, still, that problem is the speed at the breakdown. We conceded a lot of penalties around the breakdown, and turned over a lot of ball there. And we're getting beaten to the breakdown very often. So it's definitely something that I think that we need to work on, as well as our lineouts. Our lineouts is still letting us down, and specifically with Marks when he comes on. But what a player he is at the breakdown, and just his physical presence. Our discipline let us down this week, big time. Conceded a lot of penalties, kept them in the game, and that's what stopped all that momentum. For us, is we started making these silly mistakes in that first half where we got ahead. We scored those 3 tries, and like I said, we're carrying the ball strong. We're breaching their defense, crossing the gain line with ease, and then we started making mistakes, giving up needless penalties. But those penalties started at the breakdown, and that's what puts us under pressure. That's where the crowd starts cheering, and they scored a fantastic try to come back through Simmons. Very well worked. And that comes also down to momentum, I feel. So if you look at the Springboks team over the course of the year, right? If I look at our squad selection, our team selection here, okay, like I said in my preview video, all right, we make an average of 9.7 changes through all of the 12 games this year. In terms of the starting 15, we make on average, call it 10 changes per game. This game we made 12 changes. And if you look at the positions from number 1 all the way to 15, on average, we've changed personnel in those positions 8 times. And some of the key positions, if you look at the scrum half and fly half, over the course of the 12 test matches, we've made 8 changes at scrum half. We've made 9 changes at fly half. We've made 11 changes on the left wing. We've made 10 changes at inside center. We've had more consistency in outside center because of Jesse. We've only made 5 changes there. But then the right wing, we've made 9 changes. And then at fullback, we've made 9 changes. And then 8th man, we've made 8 changes. So if you think about the creativity, so I don't think we have an issue with our pack, right? But obviously the breakdown, I think we don't have that out-and-out breakdown specialist, fetcher. And is that even relevant in today's game? But I don't see that really from Sia. Jasper Wiese, I think, would be the guy who does a lot of that until the replacements come on, Kwacha and Malcolm Marx, right? But other than that, we don't have that specialist. We don't have that real threat that gets over the ball very well. Okay, so the forwards are fine, so that has that impact. But in terms of the momentum, so our back line really lacked that creativity on attack, even though we scored 4 tries. Those were brilliant tries, counteracting tries, or moments of individual brilliance. And we also had a phenomenal try, again, attacking a KLA that was chalked off for a forward pass. Now, I actually don't really like to speak about referees, and that the Andrew Brace, he's that weird referee. It's like, how can I say this in a nice way? He's cuck, but he's good. If that makes sense. Some of his calls, you think, okay, that's good. He's being consistent. And then some of the other calls, you think, hey, what the heck happened here? How did you get to this? And that ball may have drifted forward, but if you looked, I rewound that thing so many times, and I cannot see that ball coming out of Fussy's hands forward. I can't. And it does go forward, but Fussy is still, when he passes that ball, he's in front of KLA. And when KLA takes that ball, Fussy is still in front of him. And I'm thinking, like, that would be almost all of the backline place. Now, the other interesting thing is Sia did a pass to, I think, Damien Dealende right in front of the referee in the first half. And that was forward. That went straight forward out of Sia's hands, but he didn't call that. But anyway, that was a fantastic try. That was knocked off. But other than that, is you didn't really see that Springbok backline firing. We weren't attacking the outside channels. You remember the beginning of the year, where when we played Wales, when we played Portugal, when we played Ireland, especially Ireland, we were attacking down those outside channels. Pieter-Steph, Sia, running there. But we're not seeing any patterns in terms of shapes in that. Well, we're not. It's not that we're not seeing, but we're not seeing a lot of them in our backline. So we're not seeing, three pods with Marnie sitting right behind, and then a runner around the corner. So 3-1, 3-1, or 3-2-2-1, or whatever. However you want to structure it, we don't see a lot of those, right? The thing is, we didn't have dominance in possession. I think possession we had like 45%. And territory, we had like 46%. So England were better than us in those areas. And funny enough, we only marginally were better than them in meters gained, etc. I'll come to the stats in a second. But a lot of that attacking, one of you guys said the other day, I'm trying to remember the exact quote, but like something like we fought our sing about or something. But that's because of those stats that I've shared, right? When you're number 8, you've made 8 personnel changes over the course of 12 test matches, right? So that's 75% of you change, right? At scrum half, 8 changes, fly half, 9 changes, left wing, 11, inside center, 10, outside center, 5. So inside center, 10 changes. So how do you build that momentum? Now, if you look at the All Blacks versus France game, for example, is the All Blacks started this year, their attack was not great, but they're getting that momentum now. So there's pros and cons of each, and I spoke about that in our preview. So you have to consider that, and I think this experimentation will start to, I think this year and next year there will still be quite a bit of experimentation, but then those final 2 years we'll just build consistency, right, when we have those. But for us, is that's a big problem for us, momentum. But hey, having said that, guys, we are 10 wins, only 2 losses, both those losses by 1 point. We're winning on average. We're scoring 34 points per game. We're conceding 17 points. We have, on average, 17 point difference. And that's playing Ireland twice, Australia twice, New Zealand twice, England, Wales, Scotland, right? Argentina twice, home and away. So not easy games, right? So despite all that, we still won. And if you watch this game, when I first watched it, I didn't really enjoy it too much. Like, I thought it had great spectacle, but I wanted the Springboks to win, so I wasn't really loving a lot of it. But when I watched it the second time, we actually quite comfortably controlled that game in the last 30 minutes. Even though they come very close to scoring, it's just that you feel like, hey, the box defense is going to come up with something special here, and they do, right? So it ended up, for me, it wasn't as frightening as when I was watching it live. And that's why I like to watch these games twice before I actually do the commentary, because then I'm not as emotional, passionate, or like I'm actually watching for specific things. The other thing for us is the bench was a big difference. Where their bench came on, I felt their momentum drop, where our bench lifted up the game. And again, it's just players like Vincent Koch, for example, that experience, that knowledge, playing together. I thought Pollard was excellent. For us, Cheslin was outstanding. I thought Jasper Wiese, absolutely phenomenal. About the defenders that he beat, and how he got through everybody. I thought Grant Williams was terrific. Extreme pace around speed of the ball distribution from the base of the ruck, but also, just like I said, right, is him going around the fringes. And I love the way that he scored that try, because he went through Martin and Genge, and all three teams, New Zealand, remember Bowden Barrett did the switch, which Marcus Smith did to us today to beat that blitz. And that's how they scored their first try, was Slaughter. And that wasn't Cheslin's fault, right? Cheslin had a 2-on-1. So he's trying to get, like, hold both those players. But that's a great switch around. But that's what we did with Grant. Well, the All Blacks, Bowden Barrett switched to Geordie and dragged Ellis Genge away. So Genge there. So identified he's the guy close to the ruck, create that space. And then against Australia, their fullback, Tom Wright, same thing. Steps inside Genge, they go up, score a try. And the same thing for us today is Grant Williams, identify that gap. There's Genge, Martin, big gap, referees in the middle, I'm going. Right? And so great sniping run. So I thought he was excellent and attacking that channel. Right? And that's what we need. And I thought Pieter-Steph, of course, was sensational. But then in terms of the other players, right, Malcolm Marx, when he came on, Archie Snyman, more offloads than anybody else. Eben, does that guy ever have a bad game? I thought Wilco Lowe did phenomenal for being out of Test rugby for 3 years. Stepped right in like he'd been there forever, made some big tackles, good strong carries, and you're solid in the scrum. And I thought Andre Pollard was phenomenal when he came on. Vincent Koch too, and Kwaka had a good game, big impact. And so there's one thing I want to say here, and this is where it's going to get controversial for a lot of people. So I might get a little bit of hate. You know, I've given this guy a lot of time, and I've said, hey, this is the boy. But after today's game, looking at this game, Manie Libbok cannot be, I'm going to say it now. A lot of you guys have been saying, because I selected him in the team, right? Manie Libbok cannot be the fly half as he plays right now, that plays these big games, especially away. He can maintain it at home. He can maintain it when we got the crowd and the impact, and we've got the pitches to play on. He's a brilliant attacking rugby player. But today, as in the past, as in the World Cup semi-final against England, his kicking out of hand, so when we have penalties and kicking for corner, is not good enough. His kicks to the corner today, he kept going his high up and unders, which he's really good at. Today was not good enough, right? And he's kept putting it on Freddie Stewart, and he's putting Freddie Stewart 6'5", and that's what England had been working on. That was part of their game plan. That second half, that's what they did. Marcus Smith up and unders, kicks to the corner, because that's where they wanted to try beat us. They think that's where they can beat us. That's where they did it in the semi-final, and they were better than us today in those kicks that they can compete. So those two things with Manie, and then his goal kicking. And you might say, hey, Kenneth, that's unfair, right? You know, he had one touchdown conversion. He got a good kick. I mean, he did that great cross kick to Cheslin to score, but hey, Pollard can do the same thing. Pollard did the same thing last week with Mapimps twice. Or actually, Villy did one. So Pollard once, Villy did the other one. But when it comes to the post, that even though it's a 48-meter kick, 47-meter kick, it was straight in front of the poles. You can't miss those, because that's where we started allowing England into the game. And I can't remember exactly what that score is. It was 2019 or 1917 or something like that. But that would have allowed us right in the beginning to put more pressure, that scoreboard pressure, which would have given us breathing room, 5 points. Just that little bit extra where they've just scored and we come back and score, and just putting on that pressure. They've got to then play a different game, because as they think they're coming close to us, damn, we're back with 5 points now, we've got to score a try, and that puts more and more pressure on them. And so I'm just going to say it now, Manie, as he is right now, cannot be, and it's without a doubt, without a shadow. By the way, if you guys have followed me, you've always known that I've said that Pollard's the number one, but hey, Marnie, we got to give him his thing. And Rusty obviously feels the same. That's not to throw him out, but I think against maybe the smaller teams, definitely. But these guys, he's going to cost us another big game. And I do believe if he had stayed on that pitch today, he would have cost us that game. Andre is an absolute master. But at the same time, will Andre be able to get us to the next World Cup? And so we got Sasha, who has maybe that similar temperament that can do that, but he's got to stay injury free and get that experience with behind him. And so I'm going to say that right now. As much as I love Marnie, as much as I say that Marnie is our best distributor statistically and great try assist, etc., in terms of the big games, he's the guy. He's not the guy, sorry. So even today, his place kicking, 50%, Andre Pollard, 100%. Andre didn't have a lot of easy kicks either. So I'm going to say that for England, where does England go from here? They've now lost 5 in a row, 3 in a row for the first time since 2006 at home. Have they got better since the World Cup? Slightly. And I think Felix Jones had a big impact on that. They've lost Felix Jones. They've lost their Waldred, I think, whatever that guy's name is, who's the fitness guy, strength and conditioning guy. They've both lost them this tenure. They've got a 36% win ratio this year. They had a 50% win ratio, just over 50% win ratio last year. But remember, that was including teams like Chile, teams like Japan, from the World Cup, easier games, right? And so out of Steve Borthwick's sort of go as being the head coach, the only top-tier team they've beaten is Ireland. Okay, so not very good. Not a very good record at the moment. They've got talented players, and I thought Marcus Smith was fantastic, phenomenal. I thought Freddie Stewart was excellent. I think Ben Earl is probably one of the best number 8s in the world. I thought Simmons was fantastic. They definitely went with that tactic of high ball. We're going to compete the box in the high ball. So that second half there wasn't much creativity on attack from them, and they've got phenomenal players in terms of on wings, Freeman. And how much did you see of Tommy Freeman? Slatholm, for example. And he got the better of Cheslin in that first try, but Cheslin skinned him in that second half to score that try. So I don't know where it is. I think they got the players, but I don't think they have the right coaching team. If they had the right coaching team, they'll be right up there again. But also they played at home, right? So they just lost 4 games in a row. You would have thought they would have come out firing, which they did. They've got the forwards, but the creativity was not there. And you can say, hey, it was one of those games that they could have won, but at the end of the day, you still lost by 9 points. And you were right there. In fact, you were ahead at one stage in the second half. But the last 30 minutes, they couldn't score a try. That's 3 games in a row. They haven't really scored any points. And in that final quarter, so the similar issue to what New Zealand faced. So, yeah, that's my comments for the game. But the resilience of the Boks, the experience of the Boks, they know how to win games. So they weren't at their best, maybe 7 out of 10, in my opinion, 7 or 8 out of 10. They did some really good things. We got some phenomenal attacking threats in Kurt Lee, Cheslin Kolbe, of course, Grant Williams, phenomenal. And then we got the reliable dudes, right? Jesse Creel, Lakanyo Am, when he came on, was fantastic. Damien Derlende, Jasper Visa, Ox. Unfortunately, he went off early with the cut. Bongi and Malcolm, phenomenal. Great leadership with Sear, Pieter-Steph and Eben. I mean, what more can you say? And then Kwacha, right? So lots of talent, great team, be able to pull out the win by 9 points. They got one more game, and expect another 10 changes to that team. And I'm sure, hopefully, we'll get to see guys like Hanekom giving it a run. So I'd love to know what you guys think. What are your thoughts of the game? And who do you think you would like to see in fly half sort of get a test? Shall we give Jaden Jordan Hendrickse a bit of time next year? What about Sia? Is he the guy that we give an extended run? I'm not seeing too many other players right now. Maybe some emerging talent in the under 20s or something that I'm not aware of. But for the most part, I think we got just one phenomenal team that we're really blessed to watch at the moment. Last year we only lost 2 games. This year we've only lost 2 games. So well done to the Springboks, and well done to England for showing up and giving us a real tough game. It's never easy playing them. And I thought, like I said, it was a really entertaining game. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love you to subscribe. Love to know your comments and your thoughts. And I'll see you with a couple more reviews this week, and as we go into the final week for us, but there's still lots of good rugby to watch. So enjoy. Have a beautiful week. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys and girls. Take it easy. Cheers.